All right, so anyway, so wanted to take a lunch break and I guess discuss Project Epoch a little bit more. Um, Hold on a second. I kind of screwed this up a little bit. I mean, there's been quite a few videos out there. Obviously, there's been a ton of videos out there regarding Project Epoch. Hey, what's up, Brian? How's it going, man? I thought servers were up. Love to have a discussion. Yeah, I'm taking a lunch break from work, and I thought it would be fun just to talk about it. You know, hey, what's up? What's up, Logan? How's it going, man? Just it was really frustrating. Like the whole release thing was frustrating, and I've watched a few videos last night and today on just some other content creators who were talking about Project Epoch, and some people still hold out a lot of hope. And I think the one thing that's interesting is that we don't really have much of a choice. Like, there's not a lot of stuff out there for people who really want like a kind of a classic plus vanilla experience. There really isn't any. And if there was another MMO out there, like a new MMO, something new and exciting, I think people would be, we're all looking for that next MMO to kind of spend a lot of our time in, and there just hasn't been anything, right? I mean, Chrono Odyssey was actually kind of fun because I like action combat, so that was kind of cool. I actually enjoyed it, even though it has tons of problems. But with regards to Project Epoch, you're about to lose interest. Yeah, well, I think, I've talked about a lot of this stuff in the last couple days, right? But they definitely kind of overlooked the fact that they never really stress test with more than like 2,000 people. And that was kind of funny because I used to talk to the developer Magic from the Project Epoch team because I've played a couple of their tests, Project Epoch's tests. I think I played one in 2004, and I think I was on one of their tests in 2003. And this is back when there was hardly anybody jumping into Project Epoch, right? It was still very new. And I remember, and I couldn't figure out why me and Magic had a falling out. We had a falling out where he stopped talking to me. I think he blocked me, and he's one of the developers. And I couldn't remember what I did, but I thought maybe, knowing me back then, I was kind of a pretty heavy drinker. I thought maybe I went out and drank a bunch of beer, came home, and sometimes I could be a little bitchy. I mean, that's I could be a real jerk after drinking, so that's why I don't drink anymore, to be honest. But I went and I looked at my Discord chat with Magic, and actually, what it was I was in a 2024 test on Project Epoch, and I was, admittedly, like a lot of us, I was hoping beyond hope that we'd have something good, like a good private server project to play, and I don't know what happened, but I sent Magic a message, and all my message read was, "Holy shit, this server runs like crap." That was my message to Magic, and that was it, man. I think he blocked me right then. He did not like hearing like such a negative comment. You know what I mean? So I just said, "Holy shit, this server runs like crap." And that was in 2024, so maybe I was like foretelling the future, right? You think the high factor will increase? Yeah, actually, more people are discovering the game. Actually, Brian, I think I think there was another content creator that made that same kind of point. Um, I don't really think that it needed. I don't think that it really needed the flop to actually get more people in it. I think, because think about it, Brian. If it would have been successful and it would have been everybody would have been given to play. I mean, everybody would have been talking about it. There were so many people streaming it. There's so many people streaming Project Epoch. Yeah, it didn't need. You know what I mean? So if it didn't have the flop, I still think it would have. I think the comment that another person had said, which I kind of agree with, is that the flop doesn't really hurt it that much because there's so much conversation about it around the server. Um, but anyways, I mean, I think I think, yeah, that my biggest thing that I've said over and over again is that I don't understand, and most of the content creators I've looked at, like most of the people that are really covering Project Epoch, like kind of consistently, like if you go out to YouTube and you just search for just Project Epoch, you're gonna get like the same people. And one of them is it Ciano? No, it's not Ciano. I don't really watch. I haven't watched his. It's this other guy, the guy with the bald head, the baldy. Here, let's go. Project Epoch. He did a stream today for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. I didn't watch it, but But if you go last hour, why is it that I want to show somebody something I can't find it? Anyways, this one content creator, I cannot remember find his name, which is kind of pissing me off. Here, hold on a second. Maybe I have it open. Yeah, I have it open here. So it's this dude, Barry Gaming 2. Barry's very positive. You know, he's very positive about Project Epoch, and he's trying to remain positive. Oh, hey, thanks, Brian. Hey, what's up, Christopher? How's it going? Oh, we've been way Borku. Yeah, we're still. I'm not waiting. I just kind of sag. I played the very first open beta. Everything went smooth. Yeah, I think Yash, those betas didn't have hardly anybody in it. When in 2024, apparently I played one of the betas and it ran really poorly because I actually made a comment to Magic. I said, "Hey, the servers are running like shit," and he blocked me after that. So I don't know. Maybe he didn't like that negative comment, but I mean, I was just telling it like it is, right? But actually, this is a really interesting item that Barry was talking about from blacksmithing here. There's a Swordsman's Legacy, which is a one-hand sword, bind on pickup, so you can only craft it for yourself. But look at the stats. You know, 45 damage is pretty good. It's not like amazing. I mean, especially for a server. I mean, this is level 58. Especially for a server that is using TPC talents. And that's one thing I've seen throughout the Project Epoch stuff is that although the stats here are really nice, and also interesting that it increases your ranged attack by 1%. I thought that was the crit by range attacks. I thought that was kind of interesting. But anyways, you know, one thing I've seen with Project Epoch loot is that it's not scaled super powerful, which I really like. Like if you go back to McDouble's video where he was going through Glittermark Mines at like level 25 or something or whatever, there was a boss they killed that dropped a blue item, and it was like a level 25 blue item, but this plus spell power on it was only like 13. You're thinking like level 25 blue item. You would have think that the spell power would have been probably higher than that. So I was really happy and excited to see that they're not overscaling items. They're like making items actually kind of weaker. And another thing that's nice about making them weaker is that the game content supposedly is more difficult. So if you roll in the fact that the gear is a little bit weaker, the rewards, and that the content's a little bit harder, that's going to make it feel even harder. What even is multi-threading? Volstein. Yeah, and I really liked hey Joker. I actually loved the regions. I thought the regions were great because they tie into to the fantasy of the world, right? I mean, the fantasy of the world that says, hey, you need Arcanite bars, 18, which is a lot. You need Nexus crystals, which is kind of difficult to get, unless you're raiding. I don't raid a lot, so you know. And you need Blood of Heroes, which is kind of tough to solo. You know, it's hard to solo Blood of Heroes. You can do it, but it's not easy. And Crystal Charge, which is, I believe, just the Ungor Crater crystals. And then Burning Essence, Ground Scorpok Essay, so you've got to do that quest at least once to get that. And Enchanted Leather. So some really interesting materials, you know. The lack of update speaks volumes. I think they had mentioned that they were going to release an update today. In fact, I think it was supposed to come out already today, but it hasn't. So maybe they're obviously working on something else. But for laughs, I went into TurtleWow's Discord, and it's just I haven't done that. I don't even know. I think I've got TurtleWow Discord. I have not gone into TurtleWow's Discord in a long time. TurtleWow greater than Epoch. Just chiming in to say that I find it hilarious that instead of losing players, TurtleWow gained many after Epoch's failure. Epoch was genius. Understood Epoch and TurtleWow and German. Not banned from Epoch general chat yet. There will always be a new fresh coming, whether it's Season Discovery, Epoch, Ascension, Blizzard's next seasonal round. Yeah, give us fresh PvP. Fuck Epoch. Yeah, it doesn't make it doesn't surprise that the people on TurtleWow are going to basically bash Epoch because they want to support their project. What's up, Looney? How's it going, man? Is it worth jumping into Lost? Not currently. I would wait until they get everything fixed. I would definitely wait until they get everything fixed. Which, you know, yeah, I still can't play. This is just me just kind of ranting. Not really ranting, but just chatting about Epoch on my lunch break. So I got a lunch break here until about 2:40. But yeah, I mean, that title, yeah, it's a beautiful title screen. Absolutely beautiful title screen. The thing is, the quality of the content they have created is really good. You know, it was just a fever dream. Oh, I can't. Hey, Brian, I can't. You can't post links in here in the stream chat. So you can do it on my Discord if you want. Hold on a second. Let me invite you to the Discord. If you want to, you don't have to, obviously, but You go into the Discord general chat, you can post it there. For 60 soon. Yeah, but the thing I wanted to mention, though, is that I don't think, and I think the reason I brought up that other guy, the other streamer here, guy, what's his name? Barry. Barry here. He seems like a nice guy. I like Barry. I don't really watch other streamers really, but when I'm looking for information about a project like Project Epoch, I'll do a search for Project Epoch, and of course I'll get tons of videos by other content creators. So a lot of times I'll go watch them just to see if I can learn stuff about the project, you know. Because a lot of the content creators spend a lot more effort than I don't put a lot of effort into it, which is, you know, that's why I don't have a lot of subscribers on my YouTube, because I just, you know, I'm just lazy. but he was very positive, and he also said that the time he did get to play the game, that the content was excellent. Like the quests were really well, they were really well worded. That the padding was good. Everything worked really, really well. And I think anybody who's played Project Epoch in the previous betas and stuff has pretty much seen that the content's really good. And I think that's why the hype is there, and I think that's why people are excited for it. You know, I don't think people are just sitting around because it's the promise of a Classic Plus. I think people have actually seen that. You know, when you go into their screenshots of the rework they've done on some of the dungeons, you can see just from the screenshots that it's really quality work. There's also some videos. I mean, if you go out to, if you scrounge around on YouTube and you find some of the developers, there are videos out there where people have shown some of the content. Like if you go to Magic's channel here and see, you know, you go to something like this, you can see where he's talking about development. You know, doing some development with Nugget, which is kind of more using for creating like the art assets, you know, the buildings and the structures. And, you know, you can see that, you know, they're doing nice work. You know, the stuff looks good. I mean, here's an example of him creating like a small little kind of area. It looks fantastic. It looks beautiful. Looks very Wrath of the Lich King, to be honest. Anyways, so I don't think the hype is unfounded. You know, and the funny part was that the fact that they weren't using multi-threading to begin with was really surprising to me. Only because I write code too. You know, I'm a software developer and I work on web applications, and we have, you know, database servers, we have web servers, and anytime you spin up any kind of a server that's hosting a lot of connections, if you can use multi-threading, obviously you would want to. So I was a little, but turning on multi-threading, I believe for Trinity WoW is pretty straightforward. I haven't done it on my local, but I did take the time to set up Trinity WoW on my local machine yesterday, just for the heck of it, right? And I was like, I want to see how hard it was just to set up the Trinity core, and it was actually really, you know, really easy. So if we go here into my bin folder, we can launch the authorization service, and then we can launch the actual server. I haven't looked into it. No, I didn't. When building it, I had no issues building it with CMake. I use CMake, but I didn't have any issues building it. Community mods are regretting closing Discord down. Community mods. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of. So here. I mean, I'm running a 3.3.5 client on Trinity Core. I didn't have any issues setting this up, and as you can see, it runs. You know, it runs fine. Right. But anyways, yeah, I thought it was fun. I wanted to see how quick I could set up a Trinity Core, you know, emulation, and it didn't take long to do that. So that was kind of cool. I thought that was fun. Server shut down. 1. No, servers are not up. Every time I go into no, this is just my local server that I was playing around with. No, shut down delay for 30 seconds while other users are still connected. No, let's go ahead and run. The servers, as far as I know, are not up. I believe that one of the reasons I did want to do a lunch stream is I do believe there were some grumblings and rumblings in the community that there was supposed to be an update coming, right? An update coming within the last few hours. In fact, I think they're overdue for the update. Someone said they were supposed to be an update like 2 hours ago, you know. And we haven't gotten it. So what's up, Alfred? How you doing? They should be fired. Yeah, the community mods don't have much to do other than put up their little polls, right? You never got that updated around 10:30. Oh, is that the one? It was 10:30. Which, oh man, that was a long time ago. I've been working, so I haven't had a chance to see it. Oh, that's cool. Hey, that's cool, Brian. Awesome. Let me get that, Brian. Oh, that's cool. Last seen. Look at that, 7:29, which is today at 8:17 a.m. I was still asleep at that point. We're gonna toggle the sound alert. Plays the sound when the rump server comes on. We're gonna toggle a sound alert. This is awesome. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Brian. That's actually useful. They're pretending they got a 24-hour team, but the GitHub begs to differ. But again, I've told you time and time again. Remember, they have private repositories that we can't see, so they could be doing a lot of stuff in their private repos. We can't see that. So, think the update's going to be tomorrow. Okay. What's up, Marco? Sometime after 10:30. Bit of a disclaimer. yeah, sometime after 10:30. See that they didn't say at 10:30. He's the Reddit guru. Is the Reddit stepchild. We don't want to be pessimistic, but the changes they're making to the GitHub repo will make the performance worse. Oh, really, Foxy? I haven't looked at lately at their changes, but some of the stuff is C++, and I write code, but I don't write a lot of C++, so I must admit that some of the C++ code is I understand it at a high level, but I don't understand it at a low level. So. Regardless of the failures of the launch, I think it was a lot of fun to be a part of. There were a lot of... Well, I would say it was fun to be a part of, except for the fact that I've only been able to play for 20 or 30 minutes. So, I mean, it was fun in the way of... I mean, I streamed, like, that day, Saturday. I streamed about 10 or 11 hours that day. I must have got, like... Yeah, I must have got, like, 15 new subscribers that day, which is always nice. So, feel free to subscribe. I do a lot of just basically, MMO content. Yeah, I play a lot of MMOs, whatever I can that's fun. So I've been around streaming for a long time. I've played WoW ever since beta in 2004, but anyways, that was my shameless plug. Click subscribe. But anyways, let's take a look. Like I said, I don't know C++ that well, but we can take a look at the GitHub. Why not? Was it in the Trinity Core? I'm going to guess it was Trinity Core where they made their changes, right? Their most recent changes. Let's go to commits. 4 and 5 commits. These aren't the most recent. Where was it? How did I pull these up yesterday? We want to look at 5 commits ahead. June 15, June 16. Now, how did I was able to view these in the right order. They don't seem to really use pull requests. I don't think we're going to see any pull requests. Click on Epoch Core. So it was on the Epoch Core. All right, let's go back. It's weird how they structure the repository. Like, they structured the repository as, like, you would think that Project Epoch would be the repo, but it's really not. This is just like a project. This is a project, and inside of the project, they have all these repositories. It's a little... It's just weird how they did it. Like, I wouldn't have structured my repos this way, but anyways, you said it was in the Epoch Core. And that's the other thing. Where is the Epoch Core? I always have a hard time finding the Epoch Core. We have Turtle. We got the Trinity Core, the Epoch Update, the Bug Tracker. Where is the Epoch Core? Like, where is it? Is it down? I don't see it unless I hit view all repositories. Yeah, it's not listed. Is there a filter? Do I have a filter? I don't have any filters. I have all. I have last updated. Trinity Core. Yeah, there. See how it's weird? It's like, so it is under Trinity Core. See, Turtle, TS WoW, Trinity Core. We are currently in the Epoch Core branch, right? They're forcing parallelism. Foxy. So Foxy, have you done View? Foxy, have you done a lot of private server development, or click that and view? Hey, Brian, where's view at? Click that and view all branches. Here we go. Yeah, it's weird how it shows up here. Project Epoch, Trinity Core. You can also, instead of view all branches, we could just go to branches. It's just weird how they have it broken out. Like they have a default branch called Epoch Core. You would think that would be like a project. You know what I mean? Like typically, you think that'd be like the repo instead of a branch. But I'm not familiar with how they're trying to develop for. Because I mean, I guess Epoch Core is the code sits into. I mean, I'm assuming all the Epoch Core code merges into the Trinity Core, right? Like it's a branch. It's a specific branch of their custom code that probably then, when they build Trinity Core, it's also going to build the Epoch Core code in with it. Again, I'm not familiar with developing private servers, so I would assume that's how it works. But if we go to the Epoch Core here, now we can see. Now, where can we see the most recent? Here, let's go to the commits. Okay, so we can see here's some of the commits on July 27th, but that's it. There's nothing after July 27th. And I looked at some of this stuff before. Throttle queue positions, logging. They're adding more logging. Merge branch. So here they're merging it into Trinity Core. This is just where they're taking their code changes. They're going to merge it into Trinity Core so that it's probably utilized. And here's the add the player spell log. So, but they're treating Epoch Core as a master. Well, now I think the Trinity Core is kind of the master branch. Epoch Core is just a branch beneath that. What's up, Radich? They're forcing parallelism, attempting to change. They should have just simply done something like Blizzard did with isolated layering in Classic. You've worked in infrastructure scaling for a long time now, and it's the same methods and bottlenecks. That's awesome, Foxy. I'm just a web developer, so I don't know all the. I don't know a lot of infrastructure scaling. Oh, is there a new update? Let's take a look. I kind of thought there might be. That's one of the reasons why I did the stream, because I thought they might. Look, 207. First off, thank you for sticking with the project. There are many years of development. In turbulent release moments, the volume of players is beyond what we could have imagined. We know that many people have concerns based on sparse updates and unstable servers. We want to start with the apology. Despite our efforts to prepare for you, we were not. Our team is never a project at this scale, and we weren't coordinated in a way that could easily respond to the reality of a live server. We have a lot of willing hands from experienced developers, not clarity of roles, which left you in the dark about what to expect from us. This is the top thing we want to improve as we move forward on a technology solution. We are very optimistic about the internal changes we have made in response and our ability to better communicate going forward. As mentioned earlier, we took half a data regroup. After analyzing both server and database performance in depth, we now feel we have a very concrete plan on the needs to be addressed and how to go about doing it. In the past 2 hours, we identified the largest performance bottlenecks, assigned internal responsibilities to address it, and started a broader approach to provide reliable service regardless of how anyone's specific optimization fix works out. Our path forward isn't something that can be resolved overnight, but isn't dependent on crunching out week-long complex optimizations either. That means the servers will not be up for anything besides testing for the next few days. We are not able to give a full timeline right now, but we will provide a more detailed update within the next 24 hours. Our next update will include details about what has been going on, what our fix requires, and what you can expect moving forward. We know we have to re-earn your trust, and that's absolutely fair. We're committed to Project Epoch, and we thank you for sticking with us and believing in the project. So, as you can see, we don't expect to play Project Epoch anytime soon. Here's my biggest complaint. Actually, Foxy, what you said, I'm really interested. What Foxy is saying, I'm super interested in. They are forcing parallelism. Where do you see the fact that they're forcing parallelism? I would love to see that. And then you also say attempting to change to multi-threading can cause global locks. Rewritten pathfinding sync. Again, I would love to understand that. I am not a game developer. I've never worked on this type of server type projects, with like all the TCP/IP connections. And I've worked mostly on just web servers, so just your typical IIS and database servers and that kind of stuff, which don't have any of this complexity really. It's not weeks or months yet. Well, my biggest concern, and I've voiced this for a long time, is that I don't care that you have issues that you want to fix. I don't have any problem with that. And these guys are obviously working really hard to fix the issues, so we have to give them respect, right? But my concern is their reluctance to wipe the servers. After so many people have leveled to 13 or 14 or 15, and some people have leveled multiple characters to 15 or so they say, I just don't feel it's fair at this point to bring everything up and let all the people, because there's a lot of people who haven't played at all hardly, or the people stuck at level 1 or level 2. I just don't think it feels good from like a feel point. Like when people talk about a fresh launch, like freshy fresh, everybody wants to go in and kind of the herd wants to move together. Like they want to be a big herd and just kind of move through the world. And it's that whole fresh experience is one of the most exciting things about a new server. And I don't feel like we're going to really have that because a lot of people, although maybe they don't want people to be all stuck in the beginning areas again because of the performance, but I still feel like if that's an issue, then bring up more servers. I really wish they would. Yeah, yeah. I was super looking forward to it, but can you can you can you extrapolate or can you talk a little bit more in detail, Foxy? Or maybe I can get an interview with you or something. I would love to learn to understand better how where the parallels blah 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 where the parallelism is and the multi-threading and kind of how that stuff works. The global locks. I'm assuming the global locks are if you're waiting for threads. I mean, obviously, if you only have one thread, you're not worried about global locking because everything's just it's everything's working on that one thread, so there's really no confusion. That's the way it works, right? Do this, do this, do this. But if you're doing like multiple threads and you send like an async or non-async or all these requests, sometimes there may be locking because you're waiting for something to complete before you can continue, right? I'm assuming that's what you mean. It's May, as long as they keep phase two same amount of the time from when everyone can prepare. There are people with 30 plus. Yeah, we did see the people with 30 plus gold. They said it was very few though. Yeah, there will be a herd. What the fuck, Peanuts? Thanks for what the fuck, Peanuts? Thanks for the sub. I appreciate it, man. Um, yeah, and I think yeah, no matter what they do, whether they wipe it or not, and I think a lot of people were saying there's not going to be that many more people. Like it's not like oh, like they keep saying they're not going to bring up any more servers. I mean, do they feel like it's going to be? I don't think it's going to be less. I mean, if they bring these servers back up, I don't know about you guys, but I think when they bring the servers back up, I think we're going to see the same amount of people we saw before. In fact, we might see more. As much as the Turtle Walk community wants to badmouth Epoch, the fact of the matter is the content that they've created is quality content. It's just that their servers can't handle a lot of connection. That's the simple fact. It's not that their content, their custom content. In fact, they've even said in their post that none of the errors they've experienced are from their custom content. They said eventually I'm sure they'll run into some errors because from the custom content because that's just growing pains and learning. But the issues they're running into now are just purely performance issues. They seem to be very stubborn about what they want the scope of their vision to be. I just don't think they ever really thought. I think remember they started the project 3 or 4 years ago, so back then, and they said this in one of their posts. I don't think the I don't think the hype around Classic Plus was as big then as it is now. And I think SOD actually, believe it or not, even though I think SOD was a steaming pile of dog shit, but a lot of people would disagree with me. I was never a fan of SOD because SOD was too close to retail. There was too many abilities that were pulled straight out of later versions of the game that to me really didn't fit in kind of a Classic Plus environment. But they said they're going to normalize those 10 outliers. Yeah, they did with their abnormal. Yeah, they said it was easy to Peanuts. They said it was pretty easy to identify who those outliers were. So I was never really concerned about that. Yeah, phase one SOD was okay, except for the fact that the hunter pets, the scorpion pets, were incredibly overpowered. I could go see a warrior in Ashenvale, and I could send my scorpion pet after the warrior, and I could just stand back and do nothing and watch my pet kill him. That's how overpowered hunter pets were. Also, the PvP event in Ashenvale was a complete joke, especially if you were Alliance. It was terrible. The problem with Season Discovery and with a lot of Blizzard's more current content is they don't really test it enough. They rush it. It's all rushed. And you can tell it's rushed because the quality isn't there. Epoch 2 launch ETA December 25th. Yeah, I heard that. Well, I did see something about pets. Yeah. Yeah. Where did I put my Discord? Where did the Discord go? I have too many windows open, man. You know, this is a common problem, man. Here we go. Yeah, we looked at the update. We already read through the update, but... Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard 100 pets were broken, but I didn't see it. I didn't actually visually see somebody just showing the issue with 100 pets. Only hyenas words. You're a little late. You didn't miss a whole lot. We're just talking about Project Epoch. They just put out an update at 2:07 p.m., which was just like 8 minutes ago. Basically talking about they're still working on it, and they won't really put the servers up. They're not going to put the servers up for us to all play for probably a couple days. What's up, Roti? Right, and right now they're just going to be going up intermittently, up and down while they try to figure out issues, test issues, stuff like that. Involved. Yeah. I don't know. We don't know when it's... But again, like I said, the content looks good. Foxy, why do you sound... Foxy, you look familiar. Are you on the developer Discord? Nope. Foxy's being... He doesn't want to share his skills, his knowledge of parallelism. I didn't see that though on their GitHub. I didn't see any commits that look like. Let's see. Let's get rid of. Actually, I want to keep that. I want to keep this video because I want to watch this later. If he's got any more shots, some of the new gear from Profession stuff is pretty interesting. Karen, what's up? Didn't expect it to be this big. Oh, you didn't? No, we're not going to get the server for at a minimum probably like 2 days. You know what I mean? But my thing is, if they're going to bring the servers back, they need to wipe it. I mean, seriously. I just don't understand why they I don't understand why they say, "Oh, we don't need more servers," or "We don't want to put up more servers." Here's the thing: if they fix the issue, even if they fix the issue and they get the servers to where they can handle, Oh, I'm super interested. No, Foxy, I'm super interested in understanding what you know about it, because like I said, I want to learn more about this because I retire from my job in about 10 years. And my goal when I retire is to build a log cabin in the woods with my wife, and part of my retirement is going to be me creating my own video games, probably and I think by then AI, I mean, we're talking 10 years, by then AI will probably be good enough so that I can actually create my own little tiny MMO just for fun. That's kind of like a project, and so that's one of my goals for retirement. So I definitely would like to learn more about infrastructure scaling, as far as TCP/IP connections and handling tons of requests on some sort of a server-hosted environment where people are obviously accessing through a client like a game like World of Warcraft. So, and you said what they should have done was something like Blizzard did with isolated layering. And I'm also would be curious if you understand how the isolated layering works, because I don't. Although I could probably go to ChatGPT and kind of do some questions and figure out some of it. No, I mean I'm super interested, but I'm not. I don't know if I can understand it all right off the bat. But I've been writing code since I was 15. You know what I mean? So I've been around programming for a long time, but I've never done any kind of like low-level programming or much C++. So unfortunately, I've been in the world of C# and JavaScript and SQL Server and all that fun stuff. Right now, I'm just doing all Blazor code and Entity Framework, shit like that. Rock is already going to code a custom class for a while and give it instructions. Yeah, I haven't looked at Grok. Yeah, Blazor, I know. We rewrote our new web application. We rewrote our web application in Blazor. And it's okay. I don't think it's I don't know if it's okay. I'll leave it at that. So when you say Ktote's disk updated, are you talking about Does K-Toads have a separate Discord? Or are you just talking about this one here? Yeah, I already read through this, but you're writing Angular? Oh God, I do not want to write Angular. No, I'll pass on that. I don't really care for any JavaScript frameworks, to be honest. I can't stand JavaScript. I like strongly typed languages, so. Just hadn't seen it, yeah. It basically, you know, TLDR, we're working to fix the issues. We're sorry we screwed up. We promise to be better in the future, and the servers probably won't be up for a couple days. That's really the TLDR. You know? Yeah, but that's my goal, Foxy, when I retire. I'm going to build my log cabin up in the woods somewhere and make my own MMO. Yeah, but I think, the hype around Epoch, I think, was there for a reason, though. Like I said, I do think the custom content was really well done. And even though I only played the game for 20 or 30 minutes, I got to see some of the new mobs, new quests, and they all looked really good. They all felt like they were part of the original vanilla game. You know what I mean? Like stuff they've added doesn't feel jarring. Like in Turtle WoW, some of the content seems overdone. You know, for example, in the starter zone for the undead. Like there's an area there with Turtle WoW added this whole new zone, which I love. It's my favorite part of Turtle WoW custom content. But they added like way too many different types of mobs. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe not. Maybe tons of different types of mobs in a certain zone is not necessarily a bad thing. But it's a little bit unusual for World of Warcraft. When you're in a zone, you don't usually see more than like you're not going to see like gnolls and undead and murlocs and and boom timber maul usually in the same zone. And Turtle WoW actually did that. So that was a little bit unusual. I'm not going to say that's a bad thing, though. I don't think I should say that, but just different thing. But Epoch is beyond cooked. What's up, Ripoff, man? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's cooked, but I think it's one of those things where what Foxy was talking. I think what Foxy said was the most interesting. And Foxy was saying they should have just simply done something like Blizzard did with Isolated Layering Classic. And they said they are forcing parallelism, attempting to change to multi-threading can cause global locks. Rewrite. Now you say it's rewritten pathfinding sync. That part I don't understand. Again, that's what I was saying, Foxy. That's where I'd like to understand more what you mean by that. Rewritten pathfinding sync. I mean, in pathfinding, I'm assuming that you're talking about, all the path, I don't know if you're talking about pathfinding in that the game loop is trying to assess and determine where all the NPCs and player characters are in a specific area and then figure out the pathing, or if you're talking about just, mob pathing in general, or character pathing in general, or syncing up just the timing, the timing of the updates, the server tick updates, because the server has to update the game loop every so many whatever milliseconds to reposition characters within the field of view. I talked about it a little bit yesterday. I mean, a game loop is really just, you think of it as like a grid. And there's like, if you think of like putting a character on a chessboard, there's only so many squares the character really is going to be able to see. And so the game engine is going to update all of those squares, every so many seconds to see, did somebody move from this square to this square? If I'm casting a spell, how far, where is it going? Whatever, Too many hills. But again, I mean, their stuff is private. They have private repositories that we can't see, so we don't really know, what's going on in those private repos. So. Yeah, I kind of figured that's what you were talking about. First how creatures mobs move, calculate. What is your background though, Foxy? Have you worked on video games at all, or have you just worked on more like infrastructure scaling as far as multiple client server, like scaling for client server applications? Yeah, is that part of the... Let's see. Core. I'm trying to remember where I downloaded those files to. Because there were a bunch of map files when I downloaded Trinity Core. I don't remember where they went, to be honest. Where did I download those to? We see, here's the full world. This is the SQL script, though, that's just populating the database. I don't know where I put where they went. Yeah, this is like part of it. World. Yeah, I gotta play around with that some more. You've worked in DevOps engineering for 15 plus years now, working at large enterprise, also worked at BattleNet? That's not... What was Blizzard's? You worked at BattleNet, like Blizzard's BattleNet? Or is that a different BattleNet? You worked at BattleNet? Is there a different BattleNet other than Blizzard's BattleNet? There's apparently Google Plays. Yeah, so you basically worked for Blizzard at one point then. I get the general trial lasting less than an hour when it gets back up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when they're gonna. So you worked at Blizzard's Battle. Well, then you know better than anybody how the networking infrastructure works for this stuff. That's awesome, Foxy. Yeah, I don't have a problem waiting. I mean, as long as they fix the issues. But I'm a little concerned after what Foxy was talking about with the issues with the parallelism and some of the multi-threading possibly causing global locks. I mean, that's a problem. You know what's funny is, oh, wait a second, found an issue in staging. It was funny. We just rolled out our Blazor web project to our staging site on Friday, and we were just running it today. And man, the IIS worker process for that session was basically, it had a memory leak in it. It had a memory leak in it. When I was inspecting the memory leak, what it looked like was that the way we were injecting our services was incorrect. And I was telling my team lead that we need to go through our entire application, look how we're referencing our services, and we may need to create a different worker process that handles those instances of our services so that it can properly clean them up. And he didn't say much about that, but I think that's what needs to happen. Anyway, it's just interesting. I think it is going to be interesting when they bring the servers, the Discord servers back. Keep in mind they shut down registration. That's another thing interesting is they shut down the registration for accounts for Epoch as well. Not only so you can't join the Discord if you're not already a member. You can't create a game account to actually play the game, which is amazing. They said that they were getting 2 to 3 people joining the Discord, or was it 2 to 4 people joining the Discord server like every minute, which is pretty crazy. That's like, hundreds of people joining the Discord server, every hour, which obviously over time would be quite a few, but you were talking, I'm still intrigued by Foxy's comments because I don't understand how Trinity Core does its multi-threading. Now, when Foxy said they should have done isolated layering, I'm really curious how do you do isolated layering for something like Trinity Core? I'm sorry, it doesn't have what, Foxy? Oh, cause it's funny because Trinity Core is advertised that at least when I did researches for Trinity Core, they claim it can do multi-threading, but I guess it wasn't built for that. Hmm. But here's the other interesting thing is that Warmain uses Trinity Core. And if you do researches for like if you're going to create like a private server, like and you're going to use 3.3.5 client, they recommend you use Trinity Core. I don't know why that is, but they recommend you use Trinity Core or the other one, the other popular one, which the one that oh, what's the other one? It is thundering outside my window. We got a big storm coming this way. Let's ask ChatGPT. What are the private server emulation projects? It was Chromicraft, right? That worked best. Or WoW version 3.3.5. Now we know ChatGPT is not infallible, but he might be able to point us in the right direction. So as you can see, if you ask ChatGPT, just like what private server emulation projects that work best for WoW, the first thing it comes up with is Trinity Core, and then also Azeroth Core, which I think is what Chromicraft uses. And then, of course, Mango. I don't know. There's Azeroth Core as well. But like Warmain has their own custom fork on Trinity Core. So, but it's not publicly available. So, they've got, and Warmain can handle like 10, 11,000 connections, no problem. I believe the Nosaurus was off of Mangos, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But we know that like when I played like Northdale launch, Lights Hope, all those private server launches, there were 13, 14,000 people in Northdale's launch. And the server actually, it was laggy, but it was a consistent. I don't have a problem with lag if it's consistent. Like if I swing my sword and there's like a delay of like 3 seconds, but it's always 3 seconds, you can work with that. It's like, well, I can work with this. You know what I mean? As long as it's consistent. So. It also gives a fake queue, so you buy one thing. That's funny. Yeah, Warmain is all about the money, man. I think Warmain is one of those projects that I saw an article once where they actually talked about the fact that they've made millions. Warmain makes millions a year running their servers. Does Turtle use Mangoes? Okay. Yeah. Well, my lunch break ends in about 10 minutes, guys. Saurabh messaged me. What's he want? Just realized this. Hold on a second. Ah. All right, so when there was the Chinese migration, there was like 15,000 people. Yeah, there was a lot of people in Turtle WoW. Yeah. I mean, I still, like I said, I'm concerned about Epoch. I mean, I think someone said something yesterday, and that's if, hey, if they can't really fix the core to run with more than like 2 or 3 thousand people, that the project will probably fail. I tend to, I don't want to say it's going to fail as in no one will play it, but it won't have the hype that it would have had if it could support like 6,000, 7,000 people. Um, Foxy, send me some code. Hey Foxy, I want you to send me some code. If you've got any code that shows how to create a if you've got any code that could show me in some sort of simple piece of code that shows how to create isolated layering, like how Classic was, or even like a diagram, like an engineering schematic or something that kind of explains the thought process behind it. I know if you guys have ever looked at Star Citizen, Star Citizen was doing a lot of stuff with server meshing, which it was really, and I don't know a lot of the architecture stuff behind that, but it seemed pretty impressive. The technology seemed pretty impressive with what they were trying to do. And you got to keep in mind that Star Citizen is running on the Amazon Games internal game engine, which is basically just a heavily modified version of, I believe, the Cry engine. And I actually talked to an Amazon web developer or Amazon developer, and they said the engine's a real bear to work with. It's not easy. Like, it doesn't have an easy toolkit. I'm sure by now it probably is a lot better because they had to work on it for so long with New World, and so I'm sure that they made a lot of improvements. You think it'll be thriving? I think it'll. I think it feels like they're very dedicated to it. It feels like they definitely are dedicated, and I think the only thing that could really hurt them is kind of, again, what Foxy was saying, is if they do a lot of changes that cause issues, they cause like global blocks, or if they keep running into technical roadblocks, and if those technical roadblocks last for an extended amount of time, they take like 8, 9, 10 months to fix stuff. That could be that could be a problem. That would be awesome, Foxy. I mean, anything you could send me from a learning point. Here, let me link my Discord again. I would absolutely be in your debt to any type of information you could send me on that stuff. Would absolutely love it. Or even resources, like any resources you can, if you have resources you could point me to. But I would appreciate it for sure, because I love that kind of stuff. So here's my Discord server. If anybody wants to jump in, feel free. What is this, Faust? What is this? Best paladin, if I'm wrong. What is this? Best paladin. If I'm wrong, then reply to me. You're wrong. I thought of protection. Oh, did they do a poll? Because you guys know I'm a big lover of protection paladins. Let's go to the Epoch General. Did they have a poll on it? Let's see. Nah, I haven't seen it. So you have no access. You only have read access to their Discord. Now the community mods obviously are bored out of their minds. So all they do is they keep creating these little polls. Probably because they have nothing else better to do. You know what I mean? There, Foxy. See if Foxy joined. Good to see Foxy. Ezekiel, Zephos. Good to see you guys. That was the Paladin chat. Oh, was that Paladin chat? Okay, let's take a look. You guys know I'm a big Paladin player, so. What spec are you? View poll. Wow, there you go. Protection. I'm surprised that protection went out. Look at this. Why is a moderator swearing in their own Discord? That's a little cringe. Half the pop won't come back. You think so? I don't think so. I think it depends on how long and how many technical issues. Like if they keep running into issues, especially if they're issues that they cause, then people will lose faith in the abilities of the devs. You know what I mean? They're going to lose faith in their skill and ability to deliver. Yeah, I agree. Again, Koseko, I do agree. I think that they do have to kind of, to some degree, regain people's trust. I just think that the biggest mistake they made is they didn't do a proper stress test. They didn't get enough people in the stress test. If they would have done a stress test where they got like even 3 or 4 thousand people, they would have seen the issue because it's always been there. Right? It's not like it hasn't been there. It's always been there. They just they've never had more than like 1,500, 2,000 people. But I found it really interesting that when I played on the server in 2024, I sent Magic a message where I said, "Man, this server runs like shit," and he blocked me, by the way, which I guess he didn't like that message. And I don't remember that, I don't remember that, but obviously at the time, I must have really thought the server ran really poorly. I don't know if I streamed that. Let's see if we can find, if I can spell right. Let's see if we can find a stream of mine from like 2024. Let's see. Here's one from a year ago. We're back, man. Yeah, you can see I leveled a hunter here. So I was playing a human hunter on Epoch a year ago, and I obviously didn't seem to have any problems with pets or. Couldn't they have flooded their own server with bots to see? Yeah, I'm not sure the best way for them to test it. I don't know if it's like Unreal Tournament where you could just spin up a bunch of bots. I think you should give it with the high elves on the Alliance and Blood Elves. I always wanted to, it was pretty cool that Turtle Wild did do high elves. So you can see here I'm playing Project Epoch in 2024, and obviously it's running just fine. Right, I'm playing a human hunter. Should have launched in 2024. All mods are cringe, to be honest, on that Discord. I did have discussions with one of the mods. It wasn't Tito, it was the other one, and he seemed to be pretty. He was pretty nice. It was. I sent Katos a message. Of course, he didn't respond. Who was the guy? Wilbur. I had a conversation. I had a private message with Wilbur, and he seemed pretty friendly. We're playing Project Epoch, Matt. Check it out. Look, I'm in Project. Look, it's Project Epoch from 2024. I don't know why that didn't work. Me playing around with weak auras. What a surprise. That certainly sounds like. Look, I'm still dicking around with weak auras. Yeah, this is a vanilla plus server, yeah. Official launch is probably still like 2 to 3 months out, I would imagine. This is the beta 3. Look at that. I said a year ago the official launch is still 2 to 3 months out. Well, I guess I was wrong. And they're going to compile all of the changes here, the bugs that people report. I think the content was capped, Logan. I don't think you could get past a certain level on these betas. I think it was capped at 25 or 30. I don't remember what it was. I thought it was capped. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. So. And they got to fix all the bugs that people find over there. And this is. It's so funny. I played this like a year ago. I don't even remember playing. I mean, I remembered I played it, but I don't remember if I found any new content or anything like that. Grab aimed shot. So yes, I played Project last year, and I think I played it even further back. For a while. Here I am playing Project Epoch 2 years ago. This is May 21st, 2023. I'm actually playing an Undead Paladin. So, and I think. So yeah, I mean, so the server, I've played the server, several times, and it's run. It's run pretty well. But again, we didn't have that many people on the server. We had like probably 1,500 or 2,000 people. Bronzebeard, that's the Ascension, right? That's Ascension. I think I looked at that and I thought it looked a little. I didn't think it looked very good. You're talking about the Warcraft Reborn, right? Is that's Bronzebeard, right? You can go here. The thing with Ascension is they're always out to get your money. I don't like Ascension because they're really greedy, like super greedy. I'm sure they make a ton of money. I'm sure Ascension is making a ton of them. I know they probably make just a shit ton. There's a place in here where you can, let's see, play for free. Yeah, so here it is. I think it's this one. Oh no, here's Bronzebeard. Yeah, I don't exactly know what Bronzebeard is, so I would have to. I believe that was their kind of Classic Plus, right? Yeah. Looks more like Season Discovery. The problem, some of the stuff I saw with Ascension, it just looked like to me like it was too much like Season Discovery. Like they pulled too much from retail. I think, at least for me personally, like for Classic Plus, I want to see more of a vintage vanilla experience. You know, that's why I like the fact that they locked the level at 60. I just want to see basically leveling 1 to 60, and I want to see kind of, new content added to the existing kind of vanilla experience, and then maybe progressing, with new content every couple years. I don't want to see like huge changes. I don't think it needs huge changes. I think I like a lot of things that they were saying with Project Epoch was really what I wanted. They making the content more difficult, basically fixing things in the game that weren't that great. Like professions in Vanilla WoW, they weren't that great because there wasn't a lot of rest. You couldn't even craft a bow, for example. So, making the professions better, looking at the classes and trying to fix the glaring issues with the classes that we had in vanilla, like how a paladin doesn't have a taunt, stuff like that. That's what I wanted in Classic Plus. Yeah, still no bow. I know there's still no bow. I know we're still working on that, Voss. Still working on that. Yeah, yeah. Bots aren't going to create latency exactly because they're not a real connection. Um, so basically, Epoch was ticking a lot of the boxes that I was looking for. That's why I was so excited for Epoch. Stuff like what they're doing Bronzebeard, I don't think is really doing that. They're more like a season discovery where it's just like a mishmash of crap from different versions of WoW. Like if you look at some of the abilities, at least what I saw when I looked at the other day was they are pulling in so many abilities from later versions of the game, and I just think it's overkill, like way overkill. Yeah, it just looks ridiculous. Like you said, Kokich, it just looked ridiculous. So anyways, I have to go back to work, so my lunch break is over. It was over about 2 minutes ago. So I hope you guys all have a great day. Again, Fox, if you can send me any information on kind of the technologies you were talking about, I would love to see it. Love to read up on that and have a better understanding of kind of what hurdles that they're looking at. And I would love to see how to code like what Blizzard did with the layering system. I don't know how they do that, those isolated processes. I don't know if it's just creating up different sessions for the users in like a different session thread, like how I'm more familiar with IIS. So like in IIS, you have different sessions, and you can group different. I'm assuming it's some sort of an isolated process. Like your server probably spawns up different isolated processes, and people are basically directed to one of those processes, and that kind of somehow splits out the memory. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, but I would love to see the technology on that, the white paper. So. Um, But yeah, I have to go. I have to go, guys. I'm sorry. I would love to stay here all day and chat to everybody because it's more fun than work. But unfortunately, I can't do that. So I hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna go back to work, and I'll stream later tonight. But I'm not sure what I'm gonna stream. You know? Yeah, that'd be awesome, Foxy. I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. I'll stream probably later tonight, but I'll probably just end up playing something else. No pay to win shop. Yeah, that was a cool thing too about Epoch is it didn't look like they were in for the money, which is always nice to see. Always nice to see. Hey, SL, how you doing? I will see you later.